What is going on, everybody? I am Dom of X. Welcome back to the channel. Let's go ahead and talk about the February 2025 solicitations for DC Comics. All right, folks, the first one that we got up is none other than Zatanna starring back in her own series. This is a 6-issue series by none other than Jamal Campbell, the Far Sector illustrator, on top of Superman with Joshua Williamson. He was off on the title for reasons unknown, but he said that he was working on a dream project. Well, this does appear to be the dream project with a brand new villain, the Lady White. I am definitely going to pick this up as somebody who loves Zatanna as a character, one of my favorite magic users in the DC universe, and overall just a breath of fresh air whenever she is in the building. Sometimes even between Batman, I loved her and his interactions in the Bruce Wayne by Paul Dini collected editions, the Detective Comics run, of course, along with her own series. This is definitely going to be a banger, considering that Jamal does appear to be putting in all of the work in for this book. Let's tell DC that we want an extension on this and buy as many as we can as possible. Next up for DC is Green Lantern Corps #1 by Jeremy Adams and Morgan Hampton. Morgan Hampton most recently on Cyborg, writing that title for Donna DC, and Fernando Pasarin, no stranger to the Green Lantern mythos. He was one of the artists on Tomasi's GLC series after Gleason went to go do Batman and Robin with Tomasi. And then Pasarin also did the Emerald Warriors book with the Guy Gardner-led series, I should say, with Tomasi as well. Green Lantern Corps, this is the first time that we have had a Corps book in quite some time. First time since Venditti was on it. That was 6 years ago. It's been that time, man. It's been that long. But yes, you do have Kyle, you got Guy, you got John and Simon and Jess and Joe, and even Kel is also in there. I cannot wait for this book. Morgan Hampton is going to be co-writing, which I am very intrigued to see how that combination and collaboration will tend for this book. So very excited for Green Lantern Corps. Let's go ahead and head into the Absolute Universe, the first of which is none other than Batman. Absolute Batman #5 with Nick Dragotta back on the title. Mayor James Gordon and Black Mass come to a head in this series. This cover gives me a lot of Ghost Cage vibes. You guys don't know what Ghost Cage is. That was a series done by Nick Dragotta at Image Comics. The most recent series that I remember him doing before he got on DC with the Action Comics backups. So it just gives me those vibes. This also does say it's the penultimate issue to the first arc, but I haven't read issue #2 yet. Maybe it's different, but I read issue #1 and did say 1 of 5. This is issue #5. So maybe the issue #4 with Walto was not part of the arc and it's something different. Who knows? I am very intrigued to see how this all comes about. And of course, this has all of my attention and money because it is wacky out of wild. Scott Snyder, of course, doing a fantastic job. Next up, we have Absolute Wonder Woman by Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman. This does appear to be the end of the first arc with Diana and her conflict with the Tetracide. I loved issue #1. This is my favorite of the #1s of the Absolute line. I think if you had and forced me to think of, hey, which one do you prefer over the others, this is definitely my favorite. Maybe it's just my Kelly Thompson bias, but I love her writing, love the first issue, and I can't wait to see what they have going on. This is going to be the end of the first arc. Issue 6 and 7 will be a fill-in so that we can get the flashback/origin of a flashback of her character. It's a 2-shot, so can't wait to see what they've got going on for Absolute Wonder Woman and 2 more of her character. This is the 4th issue of the run, and with Superman on the run, pursued against the will of himself by armed peacemakers and Lois Lane. Who are the Omega Men in this universe? That actually intrigues me. I don't know what to expect out of the Absolute Omega Men because it's going to be completely different than the iterations that we've seen on Earth Zero. So very intrigued to see that, and it's going to continue me and building up the hype for this series. It's now time to talk about the Justice League / Superman / Wonder Woman everybody else office. The first of which is none other than the flagship title Justice League Unlimited, with the Parademon Horde reeling in and impacting the league in more ways than one. Martian Manhunter is in this issue. I think there is a good shot now that we could get a John Jones book in regular DC continuity to appeal and market against not against, but in parallel with the Absolute Martian Manhunter book by Denise Camp. Who knows? I have seen weirder, but it will be nice to have a Martian Manhunter ongoing, the first we've gotten since Steve Orlando, and of course even longer than that, John Ostrander. Ostrander's of which is one of my favorite runs of all time, but I think I say that about every run that I talk about. Justice League Unlimited number 4, be sure to pick it up for the Mark Waid, Dan Mora goodness. Next up, we got Superman number 23 by Joshua Williamson and Dan Mora, continuing the many deaths of Doomsday arc and storyline. The first issue of this arc got me in a caper and got me to be intrigued even just a bit. The pulpy and very fun action that the twists and turns of whatever Williamson is bringing in, I think is going to be stellar for not only this arc in general, but the future of this series. So Mora and Williamson, you're going to continue to keep on with this banger of an arc, and yeah, consider me intrigued with the way that they wrote Doomsday and illustrated Doomsday in that first issue of Superman for this arc. Next up, we got Action Comics 1083, the second part to the John Ridley story for Action Comics. They are continuing the Superman Superstars initiative that they set forth with John Timms and Jason Aaron on last year's Superman Action Comics adventures post Philip Kennedy Johnson. So this isn't permanent. This is, again, the second part of Action Comics where Superman is now being caught into the investigation of what Clark Kent is trying to dig in with whatever major disaster is. So let's go ahead and figure out what that is about. Back now to Tom King's Wonder Woman. This is issue number 18, the second to last part of the first arc of the post-DC All-In Wonder Woman ongoing by Tom King, and returning is Daniel Sampere. Not only is Diana going to be starring in this, of course, Cheetah and the very, very evil New 52 creation Grail are going to be a part of this as well. This is actually something that I'm not completely used to, because Grail is a character that I haven't really seen since James Robinson's run on Wonder Woman, so I'm very interested to see how that pans out. And yes, it is going to be a Cheetah Wonder Woman team-up issue, so wonder how that is going to pan out. I also just noticed maybe it is just part of the illustration, but Diana's left leg is not in this cover. Next up, we got the second of the 6-issue miniseries of Justice League The Atom Project by Ryan Parrott, John Ridley, and Mike Perkins. Captain Atom is continuing trying to figure out what he's going to be doing with the return of his atomic superpowers. So I am going to guess that that has not only implications from the first issue of the series, but Waid is probably also going to touch on this in issue 3 of Justice League Unlimited. You want to talk about a series that I'm very excited for? Ram V and Evan Cagle are going to continue to bring on the heat in issue 3 of their ongoing New Gods series. Niman Malavia is, of course, the cover artist, and I am stunned by the visuals. But not only this, every single Ram V book I've seen just has so many different intricate covers from what I'm used to seeing for the regular superhero norm. And I'm not even only intrigued by that, we're going to get some comfort Barda and Scott with their kid, and it's going to be awesome and very touching to the soul. So Ram V, bring it on. I am all here for it. Next up in the line is none other than Aquaman number 2, which does have a solicitation in the spoiler, but here is the cover with the Kaiju Tyrannosaurus Rex, or a creature of his kind. Maybe that's an Allosaurus, who knows? This solicitation has the spoiler that Atlantis is somehow destroyed or pummeled. We have no idea what's going to be going on there. Maybe it's the creatures that Arthur is fighting in the first issue, or maybe it's the creatures that Mera are going to be fighting in the first issue. We now know that Atlantis, or whatever he calls home nowadays, maybe it's a different status quo, it's going to be a little bit different, but I cannot wait to see what Adams has cooked up in issue 2 of Aquaman. Speaking of Jeremy Adams, he is continuing on to bring the light sources to the universe. With Green Lantern number 20, Jackson Herbert is going to be taking over for this specific issue. Zermanico also isn't going to be doing the cover for this issue. It is Ariel Colon, so if that is any indicator, it shouldn't be. This is going to be a jumping off to Green Lantern Corps number 1, so think of number 20 as the jumping off point and the bridge between Green Lantern by Jeremy Adams and then the Morgan Hampton collaborated and co-written Green Lantern Corps. This is the jumping on point that Jeremy Adams was talking about in my interview with him a couple of months ago, and I'm very excited to see what the Fractured Spectrum saga has in continuing of the sorts with Green Lantern. And speaking of books of the year, this is a book that every single day that I think about, I am more excited about. The more that I think about it, the more that just envelops my mind, is none other than Green Arrow issue number 21. This is part 4 of a 7-part first arc with Condon and Montos. Please continue to keep the ecological effects of Star City in this. It really does feel like a Green Arrow super fan. Not only super fan, somebody who knows how to construct stories is writing this. Montos, of course, bringing in the illustrations. I cannot wait for this series, and I hope you guys are just as excited as me. Next up, we have Flash number 18 by Cy Spurrier and Vasco Georgiev, as tensions in Skartaris reach a fever pitch. Whatever will happen to the Flash family? This is a very nice cover as well from Mike Del Mundo, who continues to bring on the heat with the covers. Stevens of Segovia and Sawi are also on the variants. So who knows what will be going on in Flash by Cy Spurrier. Black Lightning, as the Trinity are facing in with a conflict against Jefferson. Whatever happens to Anissa? She is quarantined in this issue. What will Jefferson do to sacrifice for not only himself, but those around him? Black Canary, Best of the Best by Tom King and Ryan Sook. Oh, there is a cover. The Canary cries as she has survived. Dinah has survived the coal mine and is ready to fight against her opponent. This is going to guest star Ted Grant. Although actually I'm confused. Where is... That's Ted Grant in the top left corner. Very interesting cover choice, but Ryan Sook anything looks pretty spectacular, so consider me in. Titans issue number 20. This is going to be looking like a Garfield Raven focused book, and tempers are going to continue to soar, and I can't wait, honestly, for this specific issue. John Layman promised we're going to be getting some tension in between with the rest of the Titans family. They have not yet figured things out, and I will be there when the burn-in all happens. Challengers of the Unknown. The 6-issue series is continuing under the pens of Sean Isaacs and Christopher Cantwell. Ray Palmer and Professor Haley are going to be drawn into this, as well as the stranger things turning when something appears to the Prof, claiming to be from the future, called the Optimum. Speaking of which, none other than Jeff Lemire is continuing his run on JSA. And yes, I love Solomon Grundy and his inclusions into any story that he is in. This goes for the 1990 run, Goyer, Robinson, Johns run. This goes into even his inclusion in Tom King's Batman. Put Solomon Grundy in anything and I will be there for that born on a Monday, dying on a Tuesday line. So Beth Chappell, aka none other than Dr. Midnight, is trying to figure out what is keeping Jakeem Thunder in his coma. This also looks like the Injustice Society are going to be ganging up against the JSA, and even more than that, team drama, which I love team drama. And in addition to that, Joey Vasquez is also going to be joining on the interiors for this. Cully Hamner with the main cover for this series as well. So I'm interested to see if Olortegui continues or if it's going to be a back and forth. Very interested to see what the artist situation is going on in JSA. Continuing on with the rest of the prospects is none other than Alex Segura and Keon Tormes all along the Watchtower. All along the Watchtower continues Renee's questioning into the fold. This time with Kate Kane joining by her side. So who is the supervillain mastermind along the Watchtower? Well, stay tuned. I cannot believe we're getting a Metamorpho ongoing written by Al Ewing. Even less so or more so that we're getting a Metamorpho ongoing. I guess depending on who you talk to. Even on top of that, I'm telling you, Steve Lieber is like the perfect choice for this series. Talk about Rex Mason and Sapphire Stagg. Josie Campbell is off on this issue as Cena Grace is going to be guest writing this main issue along with Dan McDade continuing to do the interiors. Jonathan Kent is joining Billy Batson in what will only be a question as to what is happening with the Rock of Eternity. What's going to happen to Billy when he can't figure out how to get the Super Son back into his adultish form. Power Girl, Leah Williams and David Baldion continuing their Power Girl run. Of course, David Baldion, no stranger to DC characters with him on Harley Quinn. She is throwing a housewarming party, but what happens when eco-terrorists decide to ruin the day? What will happen before the magic bomb takes everyone back to the prehistoric age? And last but not least is Batman and Superman World's Finest, Mark Waid and Adrian Gutierrez teaming up with Aquaman and Swamp Thing. So Mark Waid, I do find it funny because he was talking about how he needed to read Ram V and Mike Perkins' Swamp Thing to get a hold of none other than Levi in issue number 3 of JLU. I'm very interested to see like what he does back with Alec Holland, because obviously Alec Holland, if you are a big Alan Moore fan or even just a Mark Waid fan in general, you can't gloss over the fact that, hey, like they had Alec in. So I'm very interested to see what they've got going on there as far as the Silver Age adventures of the DC Universe is concerned. But this is marketed as a 20,000 Leagues epic, so I will be there for it no matter what. Now to get down to the rest of the book is none other than Batman. Batman 157 with Chip Zdarsky, Jorge Jimenez, Tony S. Daniel joining in on the clock with a fantabulous foil variant for this specific issue. Of course, Batman is on the edge and continuing on until this run ends with the Court of Owls plan revealed and the city in perpetual chaos. The fates of Jim Gordon, the Riddler, all hands on deck with the Batman in the climactic issue so big it takes 2 superstar artists to bring it to life. On top of that, I guarantee you this issue will be delayed. It has been constantly getting pushed back, so I'm very interested to see whatever becomes of the release dates for this title. Now, there's one that isn't getting delayed. It is Detective Comics 1094 by Tom Taylor and Mikkel Janin, or Janin. Someone please tell me in the comment section how it's pronounced. I cannot for the life of me do it. None other than this, Asema's bladed grip on the city's underworld tightens, and while Batman struggles to keep his city safe, he begins to suspect that he has uncovered the identity of his bloodthirsty menace, and it may be someone very close to Bruce Wayne himself. Next up is Catwoman by Torunn Grønbekk and Maria Ignazi. So a shift in from Sebastian Fiumara on the first couple of issues. Now we are getting Ignazi on 73. Selina arrives in Tokyo looking for an old ally and much needed respite. This does appear to be a Catwoman around the globe book. She was in Sweden not too long ago, and I am... Next up is Batgirl number 4. A lot of people have been liking the Brombo Miyazawa collaboration of the book as Batgirl grapples with unlikely allies Lady Shiva. She has assembled as Batgirl grapples with Lady Shiva to guest star and help her fight. Surprise attack derails their burgeoning plans. Suddenly, it is all-out war with Cassandra Cain caught in the middle of the deadliest hands in the DC Universe. She's going to beat them. I guarantee you, but I want to see her beat them to a pulp. Next up, we got Birds of Prey by none other than Kelly Thompson. And this time, Juan Cabal is joining on the illustrations. You want to talk about people who I have been waiting to see? DC, I love that she pulled in Juan, and I cannot wait for this two-parter to the end of this epic crime. When Oracle intercepts chatter from Sin about the Ninja Clan bent on acquiring her, Megara, and Dinah are deciding to set a trap instead of waiting for an ambush. And Constantine's going to be in this issue. I cannot wait for these two issues. It also does look like Dan Panosian is going to be doing a connecting cover for this two-parter, so that is nice to see. And for those wondering, those are what it looks like. Harley Quinn continues along its ride with Elia Kalan and Mindy Lee, and Professor Pig is also in this issue. So if you are a big Morrison fan, or if you are a Pig fan. Next up, we got Poison Ivy number 30 by none other than G. Willow Wilson and Masio Takar. They are just killing it on this book, and she is injured after her encounter with the Order of the Green Monsters. Poison Ivy finds herself wandering a strange liminal zone inhabited by the Gray. Janet from HR is continuing to find answers and has lost herself in the green. Nightwing by Dan Waters and Dexter Soy. Whoo, baby. That is a creepy cover. He is answering a distress call from the genetically spliced Flyboys, creating an opportunity to bring another gang on board with his plan to save Bloodhaven streets from a bloody war. Whatever will happen in the mix of all of this. Batman and Robin by Philip Kennedy Johnson. You have turned everybody on your head. Issue number 15 was absolutely spectacular. What will happen as the hospital is erupting in flames, boat careens into a deck, Arkham Asylum is in tatters. This is the continuation of the Batman epic that Johnson is telling and the Robin epic that Johnson is also telling. Two-Face continues its own miniseries as Christian Ward and Fabio Veraz continues their shadow hand into whatever is becoming of Two-Face. Yes, the duality between this character is going down to the line at the middle of this 6-issue series. Batman Dark Patterns. You want to talk about another book that I'm very excited for? This is one book that I'm very excited for. This is part 3 of the Case 1, We Are Wounded. Can the Dark Knight bring it all to an end before the Twisted Killer claims another life? Find out in the end of this first part of the 12-issue series. Batman and Robin Year 1. Yes, Mark Waid and Chris Samney continuing on the goodness that is Chris Samney's dream project. Man, you want to talk about the level of dedication they have to build in. I mean, Clayface is going to be in this. Jim Gordon's going to be in this. A lead from Gordon provides Batman an opportunity to chase down one of the General's assets, but the best way to get them close is not as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne. So what is Dick going to do? This looks like nice character introspection. And also some fighting. I can't wait. Long Halloween, The Last Halloween by Loeb and Sienkiewicz. Issue number 5. And man, who better than the Joker to show up on Valentine's Day, along with the Rob Liefeld variant, because why not? And last but not least, a pushback on Batman 89 Echoes. If I had to guess, the trade paperback for this is also probably going to be pushed back as well. Or standard size hardcover for it. Whatever collected edition they decide to put out. So this was previously solicited that just got pushed back to the 12th of February. Let's go ahead and talk about the 2 Black Label books. The first of which is the ending of Jenny Sparks by Tom King and Jeff Spokes. Whatever is going to happen to the Black Label title. And for those wondering, I did talk about Mark Waid, or with Mark Waid. Issues 2 and 3 will be shipping out in March and April of this year, as it was on the inker for this book, Kevin Nolan, to finish up the rounds. Brian Hitch did finish the pencils, and now he is over in more blessed waters at the Ghost Machine imprint at Image Comics. But for those who missed out on their first chance to get the first printing, the second printing will be available at your local comic shop, wherever you might get them. Milestone is also ending their own specific miniseries with the Shadow Cabinet, issue 4 of 4 of this series. Heroes are assembling to face a threat greater than they've faced before. Is it too late? Not if Milestone is also ending with their own miniseries, Shadow Cabinet issue number 4. It's been all leading to this, heroes assembling to face a threat greater than they faced before. Whatever will happen to Rocket and Static, be sure to figure out in the final issue of the Shadow Cabinet. We got 2 Elseworld series, the first of which is Green Lantern Dark, issue number 3, part 3 of 7, with this series, once again by Tate Bromble, who is writing Batgirl, and Werther Dell'Era. So when a young Luna gets snatched away in the night by the monster that haunts New Camelot, Green Lantern has no choice but to venture into the belly of the beast, a nightmarish castle with untold horrors within, but her green flame draws the eye of somebody who watches intently from the dark. Perhaps the castle holds more secrets than just the beasts. And for World War V, Darkness and Light, I am going to see whether this is going to be collected in the second volume or the first volume. It does appear to be looking like the second volume, but Darkness and Light is going to be a one-shot right in between issues 6 and 7 of the series. So if you are buying the series, don't forget to pick this up. Horror for the DC Universe, 5 of 6. This is DC Horror Presents Creature Commandos by the guy who was in The Dark Knight, and Jesus Harvas. Singing to your fans as they twist. If you haven't yet, check out our website, comicreleases.com, my and Webhead's love letter to comics, a hotspot where you can finally figure out what's coming out, when, from what place. Our unique upcoming website tracker in the Collected Editions tab makes sure that you're on top of every single collected edition coming out on the market, with release date updates to the minute, from the tiniest graphic novels to the giant Generator Deluxe hardcovers as large as an absolute. Our unique spreadsheet not only gives out the most accurate information out there, but our format also filters and ensure that you can find your books as quickly as possible. The tracker also gives out links to domestic and international retailers so that you can purchase your comic books at the snap of a finger. We are also proud to host monthly solicitations as per given by the publishers that generously send us information to give to you all. From the Ultimate Universe to the creator-loved Oceans and Universes, we specialize in giving you the most readable format of solicitations without any of the annoying advertisements. If you also donate to our Patreon at just $2 a month, which is less than a coffee at Starbucks, you will receive access to a special watch list dedicated to individually tracking items that are on your wish list, past or present. Place in your tracking number and make sure that these books also not only come in safe, you can even put in special comments on these as well. On top of that, your name will also show up at the end of every single Dom of X video creates as a huge thank you. That is comicreleases.com. For more information, check this out down in the description. If you also want to contact me or Webhead, check the contact forms down in the description or email me down in the description. I have never been into DC singles as much as this since 2018. It's been a long time coming for me. I'm really happy that I'm back into the fold now, and I can't wait to share it all with you. But yes, please be sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't, and click on that notification bell so that you know every single time I upload one of these. And again, which solicitations are you the most excited for? I am Dom of X. You be you. Take care and dominate the day wherever you go.